back to the WODdoc Project 365, episode 832. Guys, don't forget, if you're watching on YouTube, jump on to the WODdoc.com, check out the full episodes, jump onto the premium website, support us so we can continue supporting you. What we're talking about today is planar progression. Now, what I mean by that is progressing athletes through from single planar or monoplanar to multiplanar movements, all right? Now, I'm going to first define planes of movement and then talk about why we do the order that we're doing, okay? So let's talk about planes of motion at first, all right? So the body is divided three ways, just like three-dimensional movement would be, right? If we split ourselves from left to right, so if there was a plane that was going right through, or like a knife was to cut me from left to right, all right? This is one plane of motion. They call it the sagittal plane of motion, and we move in it through flexion and extension. If I was to be cut from the front to the back, so the knife was going to slice me right down through, and the front side of me and the back side of me was separated, I'd be moving in this direction. This is called the coronal or frontal plane of motion, right? And then, if I was to get sliced like a piece of pepperoni, all right, it's the transverse plane of motion. I'm moving that by twisting. When we take an athlete and we're developing an athlete, what we want to do is start with simple planes of motion, okay? And I'm going to give you an example of how I do that and how I add planes of motion throughout a technique. We're using lower extremity technique to give you the idea of what we're talking about, but this can be applied to any type, all right? So, first things first, if I'm trying to improve or trying to build simple strength, foundational strength, okay, I start out with a single plane. If I'm going to use a single plane exercise, something like a deadlift works very well. Why? Because like I just said, if I was to cut myself between front and back, right, if I was to move between left and right, if I was to move within this sagittal plane mechanic, that's one single plane. I'm not diverting to the left or to the right. And a deadlift works very well because it's a balanced technique, so I don't need to resist movement to one side or the other. I'm not resisting one plane of motion. I'm literally only fighting against one plane, at least to the best of my ability. So, an example of a monoplanar movement. For the rest of today's video, please visit thewoddoc.com or, of course, click the link in the description below. If you enjoyed today's content, make sure you're giving us a like and subscribing to the YouTube channel. Don't forget to check us out on all of the forms of social media, especially Facebook and Instagram. One last thing, guys, share, because of course, the only worthless knowledge we own is the knowledge we don't share.